Hey, how's it going, everyone? Thank you so much for joining me today. I am super stoked to be doing my very first tutorial, so hang in with me. We're going to learn a lot today. My name is Josh, and again, I'm excited to share with you today, and we're going to be talking about the fire text effect and some of those features along with it. So, without further ado, let's start up the Photoshop app, and we'll get started. So I'm on my Mac here, so make sure you have the 2021 application downloaded. You'll come over here to the Create New, you'll click it, and then I'm going to stick with the default Photoshop size for this tutorial. So the width is 7, the height is 5, the resolution is 300, and again, feel free to change that however you want. Again, this is your work. We'll keep the background content color to white, and then we'll come down and hit Create. And so what we'll want to do is we'll invert the color, the background actually real quick. So for the Mac user, you're going to do the Command I, which I have just done. For PC, you will do Control I. All right, now what we'll want to do is we'll switch over to the text tool. So on your keyboard, you're going to simply click T, or you can come over here to the left-hand margin and select the tool from there. You'll click in the document, and for the sake of the tutorial, I'm just going to type in fire text in all caps. Perfect. And you can type in whatever you want. You'll click the check mark over here. Since it's over a little bit, we're just going to click Command T to transform it, or Control T on a PC. We'll resize it a little bit, give it some depth. All right, and then we'll come over here, select the Move tool. And what you'll want to do is you want to select the whole document by hitting Command A or Control A on a PC. And then you'll come up to the menu bar here, and you'll adjust it that way, and then you will just deselect your selection. You'll now want to go over and select the fire text layer here. You'll right click it, you'll come to rasterize the type, and all that does is it allows you to merge the type with other pixels in the document. So fantastic, you made it to the first milestone. So if you need to go back and rewatch some steps, please do, and we're going to continue moving forward. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the second stage of manipulation. Now we have to isolate every single letter and make it its own layer. It's pretty simple, so if you have more letters than what is shown, you'll be able to apply this technique to them as well. You'll first select the rectangular marquee tool, which is up here. All right, and then what you'll want to do is you'll make sure the feather is 0. All right. Once you have that selected and configured, you'll drag the marquee tool around your first letter as shown. All right, and then what you'll want to do is to isolate it on its own layer. You'll hit, for Mac users, Command Shift J. That's Control Shift J for PC. And you can check that by just turning it off. Perfect. And so you'll rename that. I'll just do the letter here. And essentially, you'll do that for every single letter in your text. And so once you have that complete, you'll come down. This T is going to be in this one, so we'll just rename it to T, or whatever your last letter may be. And once that is done, we'll want to add effects to each letter. So we'll come over here to the Layers panel, double click. We'll first want to add the drop shadow. And so we'll keep the blend mode at normal, sure. In the red color, you'll select here the FD0309. You'll click OK. We'll leave the opacity at 85%. The distance will be 0. The spread will be 20%, and sure, we'll leave the size at 13. And so the next effect we'll want to add is the color overlay. And here it is. We'll add it real quick. We'll change the reference color number to CC6600, and would you look at that, it's already there. Perfect. And now the next thing we'll add is the satin. So you go and select it. And we'll leave the blend mode at multiply, but we'll change the color to 582 900. Would you look at that? It's already there as well. And so we'll have the distance at 25. You can leave the angle the way it is and the size at 106. You can adjust it, of course, to whatever you think looks best. All right, and then the fourth thing and the last thing that we're going to add is the inner glow, so you'll check mark that. Ooh, that looks really cool. And so the blend mode should be color dodge. We'll leave it there at color dodge, and we'll send the opacity to 100%. So if it's down here, you're just going to go boop to 100%. And the color will change is FFB 900. It's probably there. Look at that. Made it easy for myself. And then the choke, you'll dial it to 20%. And then the size to 13. And that looks really good. You can see it over here. And we're going to click OK. All right, awesome. What you'll do now is you'll minimize the effects window. And so you'll right click on the first letter. You're going to copy the layer style. You're going to come all the way to your last letter. Hold shift on your keyboard. Click the last letter. And then you'll right click the last letter. You'll paste layer style. And boom, look at that. It has just applied to all your letters. We're just going to minimize all of those real quick. And just for the sake of organization, I'm going to group these together. I'm a neat freak, and you may be as well, so you can relate. And so what you'll do is you'll hit Command G for Mac or Control G for PC. I'm going to do that real quick. And boom. And you can name that whatever you want. I'm just going to write fire text. And so what we'll want to do now is we'll want to flatten every single layer. And in order to do that, we want to duplicate this group. All right, you'll right click. You'll leave this as the default name here. You open it up. And we're going to select the first letter in the grouping. And while you do so, you're going to either hold Command on Mac or Control on PC. And you're going to come down and hit New Layer. And then while still holding Command, you're going to select that first letter and hit E. And so what that does is that flattens the layer. And so what you'll do is you go through every single one that you have, and you're going to apply that exact same concept. Great. Once you have all of those layers flattened, what you'll want to do is come up to your very first letter and select it. And you'll come over here to the Filter tab, come down to Liquify. And so what that'll do is it'll pop up this window. And let's keep the size at 28. Sure, let's do the density at 50. The pressure is 100 and the rate is 0. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to make sure that your forward warp tool is selected here. And then you'll hit Command or Control to zoom in and click. Spacebar to move it around. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to make the letter look a little bit more realistic in terms of the fire and the shape that it'll take. So if you slowly click, you can start to shape your letter. And in my opinion, this is probably the most tedious portion of the tutorial. So once you make it past this, you should be set to go. I'll just take a few moments, and you can honestly do whatever you would like. You can make it look however you want. Kind of have flames going off of it. Yeah, that looks good. Honestly, this is the chance and the moment to make it yours. So mess around with it, see what you can come up with, and then continue on. Hit OK. It'll pop up like that. And so what you'll want to do is you'll go through each of these letters. once you're done using the Liquify tool, you'll come over here and minimize the group. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to kind of cover the top portion. So when we add the fire, it's going to look really, really good. So you'll come down here and add a layer mask. And you'll come down to the second group and add a secondary layer mask. You're going to come over here and select your paint tool. Make sure the foreground color is black. You're just going to go lightly behind these little letters here and all across the top. And I know you can't see anything, but you'll see what it does in a second. You'll select the fire text copy, and you're going to slowly just cover the top a little bit, just ever so slightly. That's a little too much, so what we're going to do is we're going to take it back a little bit. Add a little more. Awesome. Now comes the really fun part. My favorite part of the tutorial is where we actually get to add the fire. So I'm going to click on this fire image that I've pulled up here in Photoshop, and you can find this image or other images on a free domain online. And so I'll actually switch my tool here. So what we're going to do is we're going to first double click on the layer, and we're going to go over to channels here, and you're going to come down to green. You're going to hit Command or Control on PC, and that'll select the greenish color in this photo, all right? And so you're going to come into one of these center flames with the scissors. You're going to grab it and drag it all the way up and then back down. Oh, dang, that looks so good. Command T to transform it, Control T on a PC. So what you're going to do is you're going to try to kind of fit it around to fit the F here. All right, and that looks pretty good. And so what you'll want to do is come over to layers here. And you can see that this is a layer 1. We're going to rename it to the F fire layer. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the eraser here, increase our size. You're going to come in here and kind of take away all this extra fire. And then once you're done with that first letter, you're just going to repeat the process, and I'll speed it up just for the time. Well, guys, this is the end of the road. Look at this. I think it looks great. I hope yours turns out just as amazing. Again, thank you so much for allowing me to teach you today about the fire text and everything along with it. I hope you enjoyed watching the tutorial. As always, have a great one. Stay awesome.